Hey, Mr. Walker, this is Officer Norris. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Trevante Green's not on the calendar. Talk to me.
So I just saw the email. It looks like that was an NOD.
Okay, because we haven't gotten it yet.
Okay, I could check on that.
Okay, appreciative.
All right, thank you for letting me know.
All right.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Lal, and we are going to begin with our expedited accusation calendar. This is a misdemeanor calendar in which, with the State Court of Fulton County, in which individuals were recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail. Soon after that, the cases were formally accused by the prosecutor, which is the Solicitor General's Office of Fulton County. When I call your case, I will give you some information about your cases, specifically what's your new accusation number, what are the charges brought against you, to appoint counsel to represent you if needed, and also to set a bond if one is required. Please keep in mind that if you are charged with one or more misdemeanor offenses, you have a right to remain silent about the facts of the case. Anything you choose to say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Now, with regards to bonds, some of you may qualify for what we call a signature bond that will be issued either through the jail or through pretrial services. Whichever way is issued, you would have to comply with certain conditions. Failure to do so will result in the signature bond being revoked and converted to a cash or surety bond. A signature bond is one in which you would not have to pay to secure the release as long as you comply with the conditions. However, a cash or surety bond is one in which you would have to pay for the bond either out of your own pocket or through a bonding company. All right, courtroom 2, who do we have first?
Your Honor, can I give you the reset date for
Yes,
that?
sorry about that. Yes, please.
It will be March the 7th.
March 7th. Got it. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Courtroom 2.
Position number 1, Tyrell Blake.
This is State versus Tyrell Blake, case 24 CR 852, in which Mr. Blake has been accused of giving false information to an officer, willful obstruction of an officer, and criminal trespass, stemming from a February 20th, 2024 incident. Mr. Blake, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Mr. Howard, any priors?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
6 total. 2023 battery DV. 2023, it was a possession of marijuana, but it was amended to a non-fingerprintable charge, no law.
Okay.
This was level 2.
Mr. Pierre Thomas?
Your Honor, brief facts of the case is that the defendant entered and remained on the property of Maria Mazzillo, Mazzillo Mays at 1112 Birch Street, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia. He entered through the side window while running from the police during a foot chase in the neighborhood. The defendant also gave the name of Vincent Way with a date of birth of May 4th, 2001 to the officer, which is obviously incorrect. Your Honor, I do have that. I think he was simultaneously arrested for this at the same time that he was arrested for a Schedule 3, possession of a sawed-off shotgun, and possession of a firearm during the commission or attempt to commit a felony. The recommendation from the state is a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, a stay away from that incident location, which is that Birch Street location, and a no contact with Ms. Mays. I don't believe our office has had contact with Ms. Mays, but if we could sound for her in accordance with Marcy's law, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Maria Mays?
Sure.
I don't see anyone. Is there anyone in the courtroom 2 gallery? No? Okay. Mr. Pierre Thomas, do you know if there's already an open felony case with regards to the other charges?
I do believe so. On the GCIC, it indicated that the arrest was the same date, and he is on the pull sheet for those charges as well.
All right. Deputy Norris or Deputy in courtroom 2, do we know if he's already had a first appearance on any felony matters?
Yeah, he did. He got a $10,000 straight bond.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. Mr. Blake will receive a signature bond through the jail on the giving false information is $1,000. willful obstruction is 1,000, and criminal trespass is 1,000. His total bond is $3,000, signature bond through the jail. And he is to have no contact with Maria Mazzillo and stay 200 yards away from 1112 Birch Street in Atlanta, Georgia. Once he makes bond and if he returns to the Birch Street location or attempts to communicate with Ms. Mazzillo in any way, form, or manner, including in person, through a third party, email, mail, phone, social media, in any way, if he attempts to communicate with her or have contact with her in any possible way, and the police find out, this signature bond will be revoked and converted to a cash bond. Thank you.
Next, we have position number 2, Mathis Coop.
And of course, Ms. Bridgewater, no illegal drugs, alcohol, and weapons.
Mathis.
Position 2, this is State versus Matthias Kopp, K-O-P-P, case number 24CR854, accused of 2 counts of terroristic threats and acts, misdemeanor offenses stemming from July 23rd, 2023. Mr. Kopp, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any priors?
20 total. Last arrest was 2016 probation. He had a 2015 arrest dealing with a CWAC charge. 2015 shoplifting, trespass conviction, 2012 trespass, which was level 2.
All right.
Your Honor, facts of the case is that victim 1, Jane Sizer, Janesizer, informed the officer that the defendant used to live in a room at her apartment. She stated that she had evicted him back in March 2023. She stated that in July 23rd, 2023, she asked her friend, victim 2, Randy Hawkins, RANDYHAWKINS, to come to her apartment to help her repair her front door. She stated that the defendant attempted to come to her apartment that day. However, he was forced to leave by the second victim and his friend. She stated that later that day, she received several phone calls and texts from the defendant threatening her and Mr. Hawkins. She played one of the voicemails for the officer where the defendant was heard on the voicemail stating that he wanted them to answer the effing phone, effing Randy. He got something for his MFing ASS and a effing AK-47, and that he was going to F his world up. In another message, he threatened victim 1, Ms. Sizer, by saying that he was going to burn her SHIT down, BITCH. Some more explicatives. Both victims recognized the defendant's voice. After hearing it and fear for their safety, both victims heard the threats from the message. Our office was able to get in contact with the victim, and the victim stated that she and the defendant are friends and were roommates. At the incident location, she confirmed the events in the warrant. She states that they're still currently living together at the location. She states that although she stated that she is not in fear of the defendant, she stated that she does not want the defendant to return back to the residence and will need for him to come pick up his belongings. He would need a one-time law enforcement escort to retrieve those belongings. And I don't believe she's on the call, but if we could sound for both victims, both Ms. Sizer and Mr. Hawkins, in accordance with Marcy's law, after the state's request, that'd be greatly appreciated. But the state's going to request a $1,500 surety bond on each, that for a total of $3,000. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact, a stay away from the incident location, and the completion of an anger awareness course. And I do believe that he was also simultaneously arrested for a CRAC-related charge in conjunction with this arrest, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have that address again, please?
It is 115 Biscayne Drive, Atlanta, Georgia.
Thank you. Mr. Cook, anything to add?
Your Honor, we understand the allegations. My client denies details of the allegations as stated in the warrant. As I understand, it's been about 8 years since there was any other incident. So we would be asked, we have no problem with any stay away provisions, but we would be asking for a signature only bond at whatever level the court deems appropriate.
All right. On each count is 750. His total bond is 1,500. It's a surety bond. Next court date is March 7. He is not to return to 115 Biscayne Drive in Atlanta, Georgia, and to have no further contact with James Sizer and Randy Hawkins. If he does make bond, then he can return to the location one time only with a police officer to retrieve his personal belongings. That visit cannot exceed 1 hour. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You go. Stop.
Next, we have position number 3, Derek Montez Ayala.
Hey, hey, Cook,
Good night. We'll talk.
what you got?
State versus Derek Montez Ayala, case number 24 CR 855. Mr. Montez Ayala has been accused of 2 counts of simple battery at a public transit vehicle or station, stemming from a February 21st, 2024 incident. Mr. Montez Ayala, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howell?
12 total. 2020 fade to appear. 2020, he's on first offender probation for burglary in the 2nd degree until 2027. That's out of Gwinnett. 2017 trespass first offender fade to appear. 2017 transmitting a false alarm NOLO, another fade to appear. That's
Thank
all.
you.
Brief facts of the case is that on February
Yes, sir.
21st, 2024, the officer was dispatched to a call regarding an assault that happened at a MARTA Linux, at the Linux station. Upon getting on the train 301, car 312, a witness by the name of Milo McSwine, MCSWAIN, called MARTA police, which was dispatched and flagged down the officer and advised that he witnessed the assault take place on train 308. Where the suspect got on the train and boarded train 301, arrived at, while arriving, hold on, one moment. The witness stated that, or the witness advised that upon the train, the defendant got up out of his seat, asked the victim why he was chewing his gum so loud, and proceeded to slapping his book bag on the victim. Also, while doing this, he spat on the victim in the process of assaulting him. He also told the victim to fight back while continuing to punch him in the face repeatedly. Your Honor, given the criminal history and the nature of the charges, Your Honor, the state will be requesting a $1,500 surety bond on each count. I'm sorry, a $1,500 surety bond, $1,000 on the first count that involves him punching or striking the victim, and a $500 on the spitting incident for him to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, for him to have no contact with either the witness in this case or the victim. The victim is Christopher Matney, Christopher traditional spelling, Matney, M-A-T-N-E-Y. For him to stay away from all MARTA locations and for him to complete an anger awareness course. Nothing for, if we could sign for the victim in accordance with Marcy's law, that'd be greatly appreciated, but there's nothing further to add from the state at this time.
Christopher Matney. All right, Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, I will defer to the court on this.
All right, I'll accept the state's recommendation, $1,000 on count 1, $500 on count 2, $1,500 surety bond. And once you make bond, Mr. Montez Ayala, you are to stay away from all MARTA property. You're not allowed on the trains, on the buses, and you're not to enter any of their bus stations and train stations, which includes their bathrooms, their parking lots, and their sidewalks. Your next court date is going to be March 7th.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, and no contact with Christopher Matney and Milo McSwine. Thank you.
Okay.
Next, we have position number 4, Horace Newton. Horace Newton.
You don't say it, sure. Go to the next person.
One call.
Next, we have position number 6, Frederick.
Is position 4 ready?
No.
Wait, no?
No.
Okay. then we're going on to position 6.
Yes.
Okay,
Stinson Frederick. Do you want to just do it over?
Bumper car.
What's his name?
is this Frederick Stinson? All right, ready to proceed, Ms. Ate?
Yes.
All right, this estate was this Frederick Stinson, case 24 CR 858. Mr. Stinson is accused of theft by shoplifting from February 8th, 2024. Mr. Stinson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Ate.
Flex is gonna be a problem.
All right, as I was saying, any priors on Mr. Stinson, Mr. Howard?
I didn't know you were done. 29 total. He has an open felony shoplifting in Superior Court. It's 23 CP 223-178. Also appears to have an open felony outside of DeKalb County, theft by shoplifting out of Dunwoody.
Thank you.
Uh,
Mr. Grant?
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident took place February 8th of 2024 at Walmart located 970 Mansell Road in Roswell. Frederick Stinson was captured by the store's surveillance, taking merchandise that included 2 electric toothbrushes, 2 baby monitors, milk, a backpack, 2 duffel bags, and 3 Hallmark gift bags, among other items. He took the items without paying. The video shows Mr. Stinson approach the self-checkout register with a shopping cart full of items. He scanned only 3 blue folders, paid for those, and walked out with the rest of the merchandise. Law enforcement was actually called on February 10th when one of the loss prevention officers recognized Mr. Stinson in the store for another time, second time. Based on the history, the state is recommending $1,000 surety bond. Stay away from the Roswell Walmart location 970 Mansell Road. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Mr. Tate?
My client is 52 years old. He has lived in Georgia all his life. He was working as a painter, but he was recently hit by a truck as a pedestrian and his leg was shattered. So he is working on getting disability. He does deny the allegations as stated in the warrant. Your Honor, I understand there is some history, but looking at him right now, I mean, his leg is very swollen. I would ask for a signature bond through pretrial services because he cannot afford a bond. He hasn't been able to successfully apply for the disability payments, and even then it wouldn't be enough to cover a bond. So I would ask for a signature bond through pretrial services. He does understand his obligation to return to court and can successful report to pretrial.
Unfortunately, with 2 open felony shoplifting cases, he doesn't qualify for a signature bond. Go with the state's recommendation of 1,000 surety bond to stay away from the Walmart at Mansell Road, as well as all Walmart stores in Fulton County. No illegal drugs, alcohol, and weapons. Next court date is March 7th.
Next, we have position number 7, Tajai Wallace.
The state versus Tajai Wallace, accused of battery, family violence from February 21st this year under accusation 24 CR 860. Mr. Wallace, you've been advised of the right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Atay. Any priors?
5th arrest, 2022 battery, 2022 possession of marijuana that was dismissed, 2015 breaking and entering conviction, and he has the FTA one out of Union City.
The dismissal from 2022, was it for both charges or just the marijuana charge?
The 2022 was marijuana. I don't know what's up with the 2023 battery though.
Oh, 2023 battery, okay.
Yeah, the marijuana was 2022.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Good
Mr.
afternoon, Your
Walker?
Honor. Yes, in this matter, law enforcement was dispatched to 3390 Fairburn Road, where they spoke with the victim, Miss Angel Gayton. She advised that the boyfriend, who was her defendant, they reside together. They were having a verbal disagreement that turned physical. He did strike the victim, resulting in a visible scratch swelling to the victim's body. The state is asking for a $2,000 surety bond, no contact with Miss Gayton, a stay away from the incident location, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while on bond. We did attempt to make contact with the victim, but we were unsuccessful. Nothing further at this time unless the court has any questions.
All right. I do see there's a Union City hold. Okay, Ms. Atay?
Yes, Your Honor, they wouldn't be able to contact the victim. She was actually arrested on an aggravated assault charge relating to this incident. So she was on the felony first appearance for the aggravated assault. She did stab my client. So I would say she's not a victim at all. My client is the victim and shouldn't have been arrested. He's 24 years old. He's lived in Georgia all his life. He is employed as an automotive technician at a Kia dealership. He did tell me that the FTA, he didn't know about it. He said that he has moved recently from Riverdale to East Point. Your Honor, my client states that the complaining witness here is the first aggressor. He tried to leave, barricaded himself with the door. She came in, she stabbed him. He was transported to Grady. That's not reflected in the warrant. I don't know why. And he has stitches in his arm. I'm asking for a signature bond through the jail. He has very little criminal history. And I would say no stay away because it's his apartment. No further contact with the complaining witness is fine. Nothing further.
What do you mean it's his apartment?
He's on the lease.
And she's not?
I don't believe so, but I know that he said that she does help pay.
So they both are occupants of the property.
I would imagine she should have gotten a stay away at a felony first appearance.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm not going on what's imagined. I'm going off what's in the warrant. None of that information was in the warrant, but nonetheless, he has an open battery case and an FTA out of Union City. So I think that speaks to his propensity or lack thereof of returning to court. So again, the state remains in its request for a surety bond.
Bond is going to be set at 3,500. It is going to be a signature bond for pretrial services. He's to have no contact with Angel Galen. He may return to the location unless she is occupying the premises. And if she gets to the property first, then she has dips on the property and he would need to find another location. But only one of them can stay there, not both of them. If she's living there right now, then he can go there one time only with a police officer, either to verify that she's not living there and or to remove his personal items and then update the court with his new address within 30 days. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms will be subject to random screens for illegal drugs. He reports to pretrial once a month and his next court date will be sent to his current address. So if he changes address, make sure that we know about it as soon as possible. Thank you. This is level 1.
Next, we have position number 8, John E.
Oh,
Williams.
come on, President.
Are we waiting for folks also from ACDC? No?
No.
All right. This is state, excuse me, I'm so sorry. This is state versus John, middle initial E. Wallach. Case number 24 CR 861. Mr. Wallach is accused of misdemeanor stalking from February 2nd, 2024. Mr. Wallach, you've been advised of your right to remain silent and your attorney is Ms. Atay. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
No.
Right?
Yes, Sean. In this case, the victim, whose name is, I'll spell it Guillermo Garcia, reported that he works for the individual who is the defendant. He did discover a GPS device that was attached to his car. It was determined that his employer, Mr. Wallach, did attach that device to his vehicle. Upon investigation, the defendant did admit to doing this action. The state is asking for a $2,000 surety bond, no contact with the victim, no weapon, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
Right, Ms. Kim? I'm sorry, your attorney is Ms. Kim, not Mr. Tate. Okay. Yes, Ms. Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. My client, Mr. Wallach, is 63 years old. He's been here ever since 1988, Your Honor, and he is the business owner. He has a small business that has a cabinet, and he had to fire his two employees, including the complaining witness. So this is kind of like a retaliation report after that. We would like to request for signature on bond. He never had any kind of arrest history, and he has a associate theory, and he has a wife, his family member here in Georgia. He's not going to be it's not a flight risk. So we ask for signature on bond.
I just wanna make
2,500,
clear,
I'm
This is
sorry.
not retaliation. The defendant admitted.
No, I read the warrant.
Okay,
Okay,
he
thank
admitted to it because he thought the victim was not at work, which is still a good.
I was specifically trying to ascertain from the warrant if the vehicle belongs to the business or belongs to
No,
the
it's my understanding
victim.
belongs to the victim.
Okay,
It's his
so it's
personal
gonna
vehicle.
be a $2,500 signature bond for pretrial services, level 1. Mr. Wallach, you'll be reporting to the pretrial services once a month, and this is still an open active case against you. You would also have to have no contact with Mr. Garcia. I'm trying to pronounce his first name. Now, Mr. Walker's not going to help me.
I had to spell it myself.
Guillermo.
I diverted the
Guillermo. Yeah, Guillermo Garcia. And like I said, it's a signature bond through pretrial. If you get arrested again, if you fail to report to pretrial, and or if you fail to show up in court when summoned, this could result in a revocation of your bond. No illegal drugs and no weapons and no firearms. If you own any firearms, they have to be surrendered to the authorities for destruction.
Next, we have position number 9, Anthony Wilborn.
Anthony Wilborn is accused of loitering and prowling from February 21st, 2024. The accusation is 24 CR 862. Mr. Wilborn, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Kim. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
16 total. He should have went to court today for ag assault. 2018 parole violation. 2017 possession of tools that are receiving, forgery in the first degree, shoplifting. Those are all convictions. 2017 FTA. 2016 possession of a firearm by convicted felon, obstruction, giving false name, trespass conviction. I was trying to find out what that bond was, but I'm not sure.
It's all right. Thank you. Mr. Walker?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, the victim, whose name is Mr. Hardy, came home to his address located 273 Scripple Terrace Northwest in Atlanta. He was greeted by an unknown stranger who was the defendant in his kitchen. Of course, there was concern. He did call 911. Law enforcement did detain the defendant in his home. Obviously, pretrial has read a violent history. There is concern for the victim's safety. He advised the law enforcement that he does not know the individual. He never invited the individual into his home, and he was there without permission. The state is requesting a $3,000 surety bond. Obviously, a stay away from the incident location, no contact with the victim, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
It was no bond. I was just told.
Thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. My client, Mr. Wilborn, is 33 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia. He does not have a full-time job yet. He's working for his brother. Who has a podcast. He is a media department manager who films the podcast.
I'm sorry, his brother?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's a part-time, so he's still qualified for public defender services. And ever since about a couple of years, he has been struggling financially. So right now he's residentially challenged as well. He graduated from high school, and we would like to request for a signature on bond through jail because the felony court, he does not have any bonds, so he's not going anywhere, Your Honor.
Bond is set at $1,000. It's a surety bond. Next court date is March 7th. To stay away from 271 Skippy, SCIPIE Terrace in Northwest Atlanta, and have no further contact with Benjamin Hardy, HARDEE. Thank you.
Next, we have position number 10, Willie Williams. $1,000 good bonds.
State versus Willie Williams. Mr. Williams is accused of battery, family violence under accusation 24 CR 863. The alleged incident is February 21st, 2024. Mr. Williams, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Kim. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
57 total. On probation for ag assault, 21 SC, 179, 174. And that goes into 2027. 2022 FTA, 2019 probation, simple battery DV arrest.
When
Yes,
was
Your
he-
Honor, in this case, law enforcement was dispatched to 946 Redford Drive, where they spoke to the victim, Mr. Patrick Williams. He advised that he is the brother of the defendant. This is not the first time that they had an incident of violence. Apparently, they were arguing over rent money, at which time his brother saw fit to take a fence post and strike him. The officer did observe a laceration to the person of Patrick Williams, and we are looking into this as an upgrade for aggravated assault for obvious reasons, but nonetheless, the state is asking for a $2,000 surety bond, no contact with the victim, stay away from the incident location, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Willie Williams is 55 years old, and he has been here in Georgia all his life. He does have other two brothers, and the house is actually in his brother's name. However, he's the one who has been paying for the rent, and Mr. Patrick Williams has not paid any rent. He receives SSI and food stamps. He's qualified for public defender services. Since he does not have any income that is sufficient enough to pay for any bond, we would like to request for signature on bond through pretrial level 3.
I'm sorry, how much is rent?
$550 per month.
So and you said the house is in Mr. Patrick's name or the
Cooney,
lease?
Cooney Williams' name. It's
Who's-
another brother. They have 4 brothers.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. Unfortunately, given Mr. Williams' extensive criminal history record and the fact he's got a probation violation and probation hold for also another violent conviction, he does not qualify for a signature bond. The bond is going to be set at $2,500. It is a surety bond. Next court date is March 7th. No contact with Patrick Williams, and he's not to return to the 946. I think it was Redfern Drive.
Redford Drive, REDFRD.
Okay, in Atlanta, Georgia. No illegal drugs, no weapons, and no firearms, and no alcohol. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Kim, he does have a probation hold. The probation case is 24 PV 000185. And he's got a bench warrant also, 24 FTA 000149. And these are both stemming from the 21 SC 179174 case. So he will have a couple more proceedings to deal with in Superior Court.
Yeah.
Right. Dedrick Woods, is that person available?
He was purged $500 and he paid for it already.
Okay. So this amount has been purged, so this case is closed. Can
Yes.
you confirm, Mr. Walker, if?
Mhm.
No, Okay,
Well, I've been calling the jail about other matters and I haven't had any luck today.
okay. Well, if the purge amount has been paid, then this case will be closed and
Yeah,
there'll be nothing to reset.
correct. That's typically what happens. So I just have to confirm with the jail first and
Okay,
yeah.
Deputy Books has, information.
Oh, yeah, I took them to Central and they confirmed that his, purge was paid.
Thank
Okay.
you, Deputy Norris.
all right. So I guess Mr. Walker can put a null cross on that since he has no reason to believe it otherwise.
Well, I kind of need that in
Oh my
documentation,
Lord.
but
Okay.
hey, I have to see why but yes, once I get it confirmed in writing, I can put it in the file.
Deputy Norris, I believe you. Okay. All right, Horace Newson, any update?
We're gonna bring them out in just a minute, Your Honor. Give me.
No problem. Also, position 5, Juliet Romero,
Her bond was paid.
a big one?
The bond was paid.
Okay, so she's released. So
That's
position 5 is going to be further notice for trial. Okay, we're going to waiting on while we're waiting on Mr. Newsom's case, position 1,
Hey, don't walk out to the.
all right, was a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. Oh, everybody's left. Okay, I think Mr. Newsom's here. This is State versus Horace Newsom, case number 24 CR 0000856. Mr. Newsom is accused of criminal trespass stemming from a February 21st, 2024 incident. Mr. Newsom, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to talk about your case, any statements you make, those statements can be used against you in the prosecution of your case. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Your counsel presently is Mr. Keith Cook. Mr. Howard, any priors on Mr. Newsom?
17 total. On probation out of Superior Court, simple battery and battery. They gave him 2 years probation for each. That was back in May of 2023. You want those case numbers?
Yes, please.
One of them 23 SC 187398.
And the other one?
It ends in 032.
187032?
Yeah, 23 SC, correct. 2019 probation, 2017 obstruction, trespass, conviction, battery DV NOLO, and a 2014 trespass NOLO. That's all.
Really straightforward facts is that the defendant remained at the property of Lenox Mall located at 3393 Peachtree Road, Atlanta, Georgia, and Fulton County, Georgia, when he refused to leave the location after being told to do so by a security agent of the property. The state's recommendation, and this is in light of him violating the 2 active probations, is a $500 surety, a no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and an obvious stay away from the location of Lenox Mall. Nothing further to add from the state at this time.
All right. Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, we would have no objection.
What was that bond? Was it a signature bond through the jail?
No, it's a surety, $500 surety, Your Honor.
He's got a $600 surety. All right, 500 surety. Stay away from the entire mall at 3393 Peachtree Road that we affectionately refer to as Lenox Mall. If you return to that location, your bond can be revoked and amended to a higher bond or a cash bond. Any particular reason why you need to go back to the mall? None? Okay. Your next court date is March 7th. All right, just to go down the calendar, position
Your
number
Honor.
1.
Your Honor,
Yeah,
did we come to a definite conclusion on Trevante Green? Was he NOD? He
I
was?
don't have him on the calendar, so
I think he
Yes.
was NOD. That we felt that from mine. Thank you. Thank you.
position number 1, Terrell Blake is a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. Or was it pretrial, level 2?
It was jail. No,
Jail,
one.
It was
okay.
jail, Your Honor.
Yeah, okay, that's good. I don't know why, oh, level 2 is something else, okay. Position 2, Matthias Kopp was a $1,500 surety bond, reset March 7. 3, Montez Ayala, $1,500 surety, March 7. 4 is a $500 surety, March 7. 5 is released, further notice for trial. 6, Stinson is a $1,000 surety, reset date March 7. 7, Wallace is a 3,500 signature bond through pretrial. 8 is a 2,500 signature bond through pretrial. 9, Wilburn is a $1,000 surety, reset March 7. And 10 is a 2,500 surety, reset date March 7. And 11, Derek Woods, the case is closed pending verification pursuant to the amount being purged.
Is number 8 level 1? The stalking guy?
Yeah, level 1.
Okay.
All right, that concludes our calendar. Thank you very much, and we will resume tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Excuse me, Judge. I apologize. This is Juan Lopez. I was told I had to sign in for a case, Juliet Romero. I don't know what happened.
I think they posted bond.
She bonded out.
Yeah.
Oh,
So her bond was paid.
oh, yeah, listen. Are we talking about Juliet Romero? Yes, sorry, Mr. Lopez, apparently her bond was paid and you were not informed, so please submit your bill.
Okay,
All right.
very well. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. All right, that concludes our hearing. You all have a good afternoon. Take